Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Joe and Cody. We are in the midst of kind of what the real estate, a little lull, right? Like right before Christmas, everyone's kind of settling down unless you
Huh?
have to move.
Right.
It's always funny seeing listings come up that I see come up in the month of like early to mid December, and a new listing comes up. It's like that person has to go. Like,
Yes.
most
Right?
people don't want to deal with selling or buying right in the midst of the holidays.
No.
Anyways, how are you, Cody? How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good, doing pretty good.
Good.
It's never I don't think it's an ideal time for anybody to move. Like we've seen in every year, it's like there's still people that are buying and selling because they do have to,
For
or
sure.
maybe landlord's going to sell, or who knows what it ends up being, but
Yeah,
yeah.
everyone has their own reasons, and it's
Mhm.
good if you're a buyer that's active, then you've got a lot more negotiating power,
Yeah,
because a seller that's in that market is looking to go,
for
generally
sure.
speaking. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so it could be a good opportunity for people, but it is slowed down. We had talked just a little bit about the rates before coming on here, but I have heard, and this is not like don't say that I predicted anything, but I had heard that like if we're following the trajectory of how things have been going, testing the floor and all that stuff, that rates could, be getting lower in the early next year.
You know,
I want to hear Cody's prediction.
I think so. That's been my prediction for the
Because we're
last.
both, I think we're 0 for 1, I think, or 0 for however
Yeah,
many times we've said rates are going to get lower.
right. I think I think I feel like it's the
You don't even
same.
want to say it.
Like
You
I'm
don't even want to
repeating the
say
same
it.
thing over and over because I think I tend to be too much of an optimist,
Yeah, for sure.
but I also feel like it's laid out now to where that is where things are going to go. It's just how quick is it going to happen? But
Yeah.
I really do think that there's going to be an emphasis on in this next year on bringing the rates down, making housing more affordable. So I think it just kind of whether I'm not predicting anything. I'm trying to just kind of we've been sitting in this same situation now for a good 2.5 years. And I feel like eventually it just has to change. And it just makes sense that there's the elections are done, or things are changing with the whole political landscape of things. So you pair that with, I think everybody's biggest pain point is the cost of housing. I mean, just the cost of things in general, but it's like, that's one thing that is easily controlled. And that might sound really naive and dumb, and it's because I am, but it's like, I know that there's a lot more to it than just, oh, let's bring the rates down and it'll make it more affordable. But I do feel like that is step one of really starting to change things.
For sure. But then what's that sweet spot though? Like, cuz I think there's a balance of saying that I just there's still a large group of people out there that think I'm waiting for the 3%.
Yeah,
And I just don't, it's not going to happen, like, unless we artificially do it as the government
right.
or as it's just not going to happen. So what's like the sweet spot? We're talking about rates going down. Like I already see people jumping in right now at
Hmm.
the sixes. They're like, we got to get in. Like it's not changing. What is Cody Wilhelm's sweet spot for like a good mortgage rate?
I think if we can get to 5.5%,
Okay.
that is going to feel like a huge win for everybody. And no, it's not going to be the threes because I'm with you. I don't think it's going to be three. I don't even think that it's going to be down in the low fours for who knows how long, right? Like you said, it could be something. There could be something that happens economically, COVID 2.0. Who knows what it might be that might bring us back down there? But I think just naturally, 5.5 to me would be a win. Like we've come down. We sat at 7 to 7.5% for a lot of these 2.5 years now. Coming down 2 full points could mean, obviously it depends on the loan amount because that's really going to determine your payment. But I mean, we're talking about $500 or more per month that would bring your payment down. And I think to me, that is we really just need to get to the point where buying a home payment wise is more affordable or very similar to rent. And I think that will then start to really spark things because if you're a renter and you're looking, you go through the process of getting pre-approved and you look and you say, for me to rent this house, it's going to be $3,200. And for me to buy a house that's similar to that, it's going to be $3,800. I just can't justify it. Maybe, obviously some people can, but I think
Yeah.
the average person is saying, I'll just wait another year and save that $600 or, whatever that number is. if we can get those payments to where they're down similar to where rent is, I think that alone will help. And obviously bringing the payment down is going to make it easier and more affordable for people. I think the hard part with it too is just like with inflation and everything else, there's now been this, it comes down to 5.5 and it's like, oh, that's a huge victory, right? Like, but everybody wants the threes, which why not? But it sets that new floor at 5.5, which is, it takes time to adjust to, just like it has for everybody to adjust to what the payments are now. But long story short, yeah, dude, if we could get to 5.5, I think that would really kind of keep things moving along. People would start to feel like they're able to afford it, even though in comparison to what it would have been, back when they were in the threes, it seems like such a big jump in their mortgage payment. But now it feels like, all right, well, because if you give anybody the choice, hey, you can rent this house for $3,200 or you can buy this house and have a payment of $3,200. 99% of the people are going to choose to buy it. So I don't think we have a long ways to go, just for how quickly things can change, but we are still, say 1.5 ish away from what I think would be kind of a sweet spot. But I do think that once we get down to everything being 6 to 6.5, every loan type being in that range, I think that's really what's going to start to bring the momentum. And then if we can just start to see things continue to go, and we've all been wishing this would happen for a long time, and
yeah, I think
it hasn't, but
it has not. I think that, I think that's a good number. I think so. For the people, just to clarify for people who may not know this, is people who get in say, hey, I'm getting in now, it's a 6 whatever or low 7s or whatever it may be, refinancing. So what does that look like to someone who does it, who bought a house, say they're going to buy in December because they have to, but they do realize that it could go down. How long does someone have to wait generally for a refinance at a lower rate?
They can really do it anytime. There's not really a time frame on that. There's no, most loans, I would say probably 98% of loans, mortgage loans that are out there, do not have a prepayment penalty. Sometimes there will be, depending on the loan type, there could be a penalty to the lender. Like if most of the time they want to have 6 payments received.
Okay.
Otherwise, there will be a penalty that goes to the lender. It does not go to the buyer, the person who's refinancing. Yeah. They can refinance at any time, no matter what. Okay. It's just, there's going to be a fee that would be assessed to the lender because just like everything, there's not enough interest that's earned to justify it. So they want to get at least 6 payments that have gone through there, because
I see.
Again, for those of you that don't know as well, most loans they're sold, right? Like not a lot of places will originate the loan and service the loan. Some that do, most that don't. If you don't, then what ends up happening is you close the loan and then you sell it to this company that services, right? And so that company is now the owner of that, but it also gets backed by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. So not to confuse things, but you might get a letter that says that Fannie Mae is now the new owner of your loan. But that doesn't mean that Fannie Mae is servicing it. That just means that they have backed that loan. And then you have some other company that's servicing it. So there's more hands in the pot than what people probably realize, that it's not just, you went to your lender and they did the loan. There's a good chance it's going to go somewhere else. So all that to say, there's people that are investing in this and they want to make sure that they at least get some type of return. And if they don't, they can't go back to you, for sure, the person who purchased the home, because there are no prepayment penalties on most of them. Every once in a while you do on kind of a funky, unique type of loan, there might be prepayment penalties where they have to be in it for at least 2 years. Otherwise they are going to pay a 1% fee. But typically you can refinance it at any point and you can do it as many times as you want. There's no limitation to it. The only real limitation is when you refinance, you got closing costs.
Yeah, you've got to pay the fees. I was just going to say, if it does cost to do it.
It does. And so that's where I think for most people, once the rates start to go down, it's where it starts to get really interesting, because we haven't been in this situation the whole time that I've been in the business. We've never been in this situation where we're at what we think is kind of like this high point in rates, and we know that they're going to go down, but we don't know how far down they're going to go. So if if the rate drops 0.5%, normally that would be, hey, that's going to be well worth it, right? That's going to save you, say, $250 a month or whatever it is, right? But now it's that weird point of, okay, they go down 0.5 point, but do we wait a little bit longer
Yeah,
and
see if
see?
it goes
Because it's
down a
not
little
like,
more.
we can't just expect that they're just going to go down for 2 or 3 years until it gets to this point. It's going to be like the stock market, like the rate market, right? It's like we'll see a dip, and then we'll see a month later they'll go up 0.25%, and then
Yeah.
sit there, and then they'll go down another 0.5%. So it's such a timing based thing that I think if the number makes sense for you, this lowers my payment. Here's how much I got to pay in closing
Yeah, just
costs.
go for it.
I can
Yeah.
justify it, just like purchasing right now, right? Where it's like, if it makes sense, if it feels right, then do it. And the worst thing that happens is rates go down even more. And then you have that opportunity to make that choice.
To do it
Do I
again.
want to
Yeah,
do this again, or do we wait a couple years and see where it goes?
for sure. So yeah, you don't want to screw over your lender buddy though, that, and refinance within 6 months. 'Cause you
Yeah,
guys
if you can make 6 payments beforehand, that's
just
great.
please make 6 payments.
Yeah, right. It's
Well, that's
it's
interesting.
interesting.
A random nerdy question that no one cares about except me is,
Yeah.
when servicing the loan versus originating the mortgage, who are these companies, the ones that services, are they primarily, these aren't, I guess my question is, are these servicing companies there to service loans only, or are they lenders as well, and then they take in loans, or is it a combination of both?
It's From what I know, it's a kind of a combination, but it's mostly servicers that's their primary thing.
Okay.
They might do some originating too, but
Okay.
they might, like, say 80% of their business is the servicing side of it.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
just what they're building it on. You do
Okay.
get some lenders that do both. And then they will, they won't service every loan.
Okay.
Like our company, for example, we service the loans that we do in-house. So anything that's done through our bank, we will service it. That
Okay.
doesn't mean that we'll service it forever, because if it comes there is a point where, like every servicing company, they can only handle so much capacity.
Yeah.
And so they will then end up selling it. So it can be a little bit of reshuffling, which is why sometimes you have to go through that annoying process of having your loan sold 3 times over
Yeah,
the
for
course
sure.
of 5 or 6 years. And that's why, because maybe they need to offload some
Mhm.
stuff, free up some space. Who knows, whatever the reason is. I know one company that I was at before, they were working on becoming a bank or purchasing a bank, and they had to have enough liquidity to show,
I see.
from the financial side. And we were servicing a lot of the loans at that time, and they had to do a big sell off because they needed to show the money rather than the collateral of the servicing
Yeah.
side of it. So
Yeah.
there's various reasons why people do it. But I think from what I understand, it's most of the time the companies that they're going to be serviced at, they are 50, maybe 75% of their business is servicing, and then they just originate some other stuff and they'll service that, and they'll sell it. And it's like
Nice.
a whole market that I really don't know a whole lot about, other than just
Yeah.
what I've learned at different companies that I've been to, when
Yeah.
they either service some of it or they don't service any of it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it either. I just was kind of curious when you started bringing it up that they're the originator is not always the servicer, and I always knew that, but I was like, huh, who are these companies that just service everything?
Right. Yeah.
Final question for you is: there is a new thing in your background, and it's like it looks like an octopus, or is that
Yeah.
is that been around?
I'm
I
glad that you
haven't
noticed that,
I haven't seen it.
because I'm going to
Can
bring
you?
it up here.
Okay. Okay.
So this
Yeah, I
is
need to know what this is.
Yeah. I've been trying to, I haven't been very good about doing videos, but I've been trying to randomly throw in something different in the background,
Yeah,
just in case anybody would notice. And I'm glad you did. Okay.
I
So
did.
this little octopus guy is, you remember Kathy Carlisle? She was one of our guests on the Venture podcast.
Yeah.
She gave me this. I have a big octopus tattoo on my leg, and
Really?
she has an octopus tattoo, and octopus has a little bit of extra meaning with her and I. So this is like, have you seen Inside Out?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is kind of like this is the angry version. She gave this to me. This is supposed to, like if I were to put this out red, then it's
Yeah,
like,
people know.
don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm in the zone. And
Yeah.
then when it's in the pink mode,
Nice.
it's like,
I
hey,
like
this is a
it.
safe space.
I love it, man. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, cool.
Yeah.
That was good to see. Good to see. I'll
Yes.
be looking in your background for more stuff. I have a kind of a boring background. It all stays the same, but I need to
Yeah,
switch
but
it up.
yours looks good.
I might be working on a new studio, but yeah, that's down the road for future.
Breaking
So,
news.
yes, breaking news. So,
I like
anyways,
it.
man. Okay, well, it was good to
Awesome.
talk to you, and
You too.
until next week. We don't have like, I don't. We were just talking about how boring it is in December-ish. I still have sales and buyers and sellers, but it's like relative to the rest of the season, it's kind of that lull period. So I think I'll
Yeah.
see you next week, unless we're like, hey,
Yeah.
man, everyone, there's nothing to talk about. So
No, we'll jump on and ramble. I mean,
okay, yeah,
who
like we've
doesn't
just
want
been
that?
doing. So
Yeah.
okay, man. Well, it's good to see you, and
You too.
yeah, we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
See ya.